I knew him by Marshall Fields, and it was March 11th of 2012, I believe, that he started talking to me, and that was the first time I sent money to him, and I bought $30,000 worth of gold coins. He first sent a brochure. I think his company was called Professional Development, and it was a very colorful, very professional brochure, and trying to get you to invest in gemstones. And he called me, and I have no idea how he got my number or whatever, but when he called, I said that I was not interested in investing in gemstones, but he just kept calling, and somehow found out, that my husband collected coins, and so he solicited me to buy gold coins, which I did.
I found a letter among my mother's gems, and it had his name and how much the gems were and how much he paid for them and so forth. And so I went ahead and called him.
And how much money had your mother spent on these gems, approximately?
I would say $140,000.
And had she ever discussed that investment with you prior to her death?
No, she was a very, secretive person in her personal affairs.
And she left this investment for you, is that correct?
That's correct.
So would it be fair to say that before she passed away, at least she had the, quote, comfort of thinking that she was providing for you, is that
correct.
right?
Uh-huh.
Did he at any time try to persuade you to become an investor?
Oh, yes. He told me all about, what my mother had bought, and of course I had that information too. But he says, why don't you get into investing? And so I did. I've never invested in anything in my life, so to speak, with money, big money. And the money I spent for those gems, of course, came out of my savings, so I don't have that now.
I believed by hearing his voice that he was the same person that I had talked with 30-some years before, and I hit him with it. I said, you aren't Marshall Fields, your name is William Phillips, because I hadn't been happy with the first investment. Oh no, I wouldn't be him, not him. But of course we know now that he was, and he just was very persuasive and convinced me that I didn't know what I knew.
Approximately how much money did you give this William Phillips?
Oh, I'm so pleased to tell you I parted with $424,000. It makes me feel so brilliant.
And how much of that was for the gemstones and how much was for something else?
$300,000 for the gemstones and $124,000 for a different calling.
And was that for a loan that he asked you for?
Yes. He came on for all of this time that he was single, absolutely looking for companionship, and that I was brilliant and he had that and we had a future. He lied about that right up until the last day when Detective Helson was sitting in my kitchen and saying that he was not married, hadn't been married, when in fact he was married. And he argued that he wasn't, and that that old lady was his adopted grandmother, not his mother-in-law, and you name it. Anything he ever told me was a lie.
I first heard about her investments with William Phillips when she returned from finding out that he was being investigated. After her trip out here to meet him, he had been indicted, I believe, and she came, and when she got back, she told me. She was embarrassed to tell me, and she didn't want to admit to me that she had been scammed.
What impact has this fraudulent scheme had on the whole family?
I almost lost my mother because of it. She told me she wanted to drive her car off of a cliff and wanted to commit suicide a few months ago. over the impact of everything. And I had to go to her work and tell her I needed to get her to check into a facility to get, treatment, because I wasn't willing to let her go any longer without getting help.
My daughter, Teresa, was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Over the last year, since 2001, up to 2016 actually, almost once a year, there would be a confrontation. She'd get very angry and very abusive, and at times she'd just slam me if I was driving. December the 23rd, 2016 at noon. She was staying with me for Christmas, I thought, but it didn't work. Terry grabbed the phone from me and started to beat on me to get the phone from her, so I just let the phone go and I ran to the front door, tried to open it, and then she assaulted me and she pushed me very hard. I skinned my nose and my right cheek. She slammed the door closed and dragged me into the bathroom, kicked me around until I fit and that she could close the door. And then she went back to the front door and opened it for Rose. At that time I got up from the floor in the bathroom down the hall, ran into my bedroom, and she saw that and slammed the door on Rose again and followed me into the bedroom and hit me, but I did not fall. I caught the dresser. And she went around and pulled the cords of the phone and the light, and when she ran around the bed and pulled those cords out, I was able to grab my purse and get in the bathroom and called 911. You being my DA and the victim's assistants, and having the public defender being on the same page and the judge being on the same, I was so thankful that I knew that she was in the system.